I never thought a simple wedding invitation would destroy my life. 3 years with Daniel and I was finally happy. My past with Alex had been messy. We'd hurt each other in ways that took years to heal from. But we'd grown up, moved on, become friends. When Daniel proposed, I felt like I'd finally found my person. So when I sat down to write the wedding invitations, I added Alex's name without thinking twice. "You're inviting your ex?" Daniel asked, looking over my shoulder. "Is that weird?" I looked up at him, genuinely uncertain. "We're friends now." I thought it would show that we've both moved on. He smiled, kissing the top of my head. "That's mature of you." I respect that. But something flickered in his eyes. Something I couldn't read. I should have paid attention to that moment. I should have asked more questions. But I was too busy being proud of myself for being so evolved, so healed. A week before the wedding, everything fell apart. Daniel came home late. His face was pale, his hands shaking as he closed the door behind him. He looked at me like I was a stranger standing in his apartment. "Daniel? What's wrong?" I stood up from the couch, my heart already racing. He didn't answer right away. He just stared at me, his jaw working like he was trying to form words that wouldn't come. "Baby, you're scaring me." "What happened?" "I can't marry you." His voice was flat and motionless. "Not like this." The room tilted. "What are you talking about?" He turned away, running his hands through his hair repeatedly. "You invited Alex. You still love him." "What?" "No, don't lie to me." He spun around, his eyes wild. "Why else would you invite him to our wedding?" "Because we're friends. Because I wanted to show that I'm over him, that I chose you." "Bullshit." The word cut through the air like a knife. If you were really over him, you wouldn't need to prove anything. You wouldn't even think about him. My hands were shaking. "Daniel, please. You know I love you. I've built a life with you. Alex is just, if you really want to get married so badly," he said, his voice cold and sharp, "go marry him instead." Then he grabbed his keys and walked out. I stood there in our living room, surrounded by wedding decorations and half-packed boxes, feeling like the floor had disappeared beneath me. Asterisk, I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Daniel's words kept echoing in my head, spinning around and around until they lost all meaning. Go marry him instead. How could he think I still loved Alex? I'd chosen Daniel. I'd said yes to him. I'd planned an entire future with him. The next morning, I tried calling him. Voicemail. I texted. Nothing. Finally, around noon, I found a note on the kitchen counter that I'd somehow missed. "I need time to think." That was it. No explanation, no timeline, no conversation. Just abandonment. I called Maya immediately. She showed up 20 minutes later, still in her work clothes, her face full of concern. "What happened?" "You sounded terrible on the phone. Daniel called off the wedding." The words felt surreal coming out of my mouth. "What?" "Why? He thinks I'm still in love with Alex." I laughed, but it came out broken. "Because I invited him to the wedding." Maya sat down next to me, grabbing my hands. "That doesn't make any sense. Daniel knew about Alex from the beginning. You've been open about your past. Why would he freak out now?" "I don't know." I felt tears burning my eyes again. He wouldn't even talk to me about it. He just left. Maya was quiet for a moment, thinking. "Have you talked to Alex?" "What?" "No, why would I? To clear up whatever misunderstanding Daniel has. Maybe Alex said something to him? Maybe there's something you don't know about?" I hesitated. The last thing I wanted was to drag Alex into this mess. But desperation was making me consider options I normally never take. I don't think that's a good idea. What's a worse idea is letting your wedding fall apart over something that might be as simple miscommunication. Maya squeezed my hands. "Just talk to him. See if there's something you're missing." So I called Alex. He answered on the second ring. "Hey, I was just thinking about the wedding. Only a few more days, right?" His cheerful tone made my chest ache. "Actually, can we meet? I need to talk to you about something." "Sure, is everything okay?" "I'll explain when I see you." We met at a cafe near my apartment. When I saw Alex walk in, I felt nothing romantic, just confusion and exhaustion. He'd changed over the years, grown into himself. But he wasn't Daniel. He wasn't the person I'd chosen. Did you say something to Daniel? I asked as soon as he sat down. Alex frowned. What? No, I haven't even spoken to him. I got your invitation and planned to come. That's it. He studied my face and his expression shifted. Wait, what's going on? Did something happen? Daniel called off the wedding. Saying it out loud to Alex made it feel even more real. Tears burned my eyes. Alex's expression darkened. He what? He thinks I'm still in love with you. Because I invited you to the wedding. That's insane. We've been broken up for years. You're engaged to him, not me. Alex leaned forward. Wait, did he actually call it off? Like, completely? I nodded. Something's not right, he said quietly. People don't just blow up their entire wedding over a guest list. Daniel's hiding something. Alex's words haunted me all night. Daniel's hiding something. What could he be hiding? We'd been together for 3 years. We shared an apartment, a life, a future. What could he possibly be keeping from me? The next morning, I did something I'd never done before. Something I'd always said I'd never do because I believed in trust, in privacy, and respecting boundaries. I went through Daniel's things. My hands shook as I opened his desk drawer. I felt like a criminal, like I was violating something sacred. But I needed answers. I needed to understand why my life was falling apart. The folder was tucked under some old tax documents. Printed emails. Text message screenshots. Photos. My hands trembled as I read them. They were between Daniel and someone named Vanessa. The messages were intimate, affectionate. Missing you already? Can't wait to see you tonight. You make me feel alive. I checked the dates. They went back 6 months. 6 months. There were photos too. Daniel with a woman I'd never seen before. They were holding hands across a restaurant table, smiling at each other in a way that made my stomach turn. Kissing in what looked like a hotel lobby. I felt like the floor had dropped out beneath me. He'd been cheating on me. All this time, while I was planning our wedding, picking out flowers and tasting cakes and addressing invitations. He'd been with someone else, and now he was using Alex as an excuse to escape. I called Maya, my voice breaking before I could even get the words out. He's been cheating on me. For 6 months. Maya's response was immediate and furious. That bastard. He's blaming you to cover his own guilt. Where are you? I'm coming over. I'm still at the apartment. He's not here. Stay there. I'll be right there. But before Maya could arrive, I heard keys in the door. Daniel walked in, stopping short when he saw me sitting on the couch with the folder in my lap. You're here, he said, looking surprised. We need to talk. My voice was steadier than I expected. Considering the storm raging inside me, he sighed, setting his bag down. I know I hurt you, but you have to understand. Who's Vanessa? His face went completely white. How did you? I found the emails. The photos, everything. I stood up, holding the folder out. 6 months, Daniel. You've been lying to me for 6 months. For a moment, he said nothing. His mouth opened and closed like he was trying different lies on for size, saying which one might work. It's not what you think. She's just a friend. I laughed. It was a bitter, broken sound. Don't insult me, Daniel. I've read the messages. I've seen the photos. Don't you dare lie to my face right now. Daniel stood up, and I watched his expression shift from guilt to something uglier. Defensiveness, anger. Fine, yes, I've been seeing Vanessa. But it's because you've been emotionally unavailable. You've always had one foot in the past with Alex. I stared at him, genuinely unable to process what I was hearing. So this is my fault? You cheated because I invited my ex to our wedding. You don't get it, he snapped, his voice rising. Seeing his name on that guest list made me realize you're not over him. And if you're not fully mine, why should I commit? His words felt like poison spreading through my veins. He was twisting everything, rewriting our entire relationship to make himself the victim. You're unbelievable. My voice was shaking now. You're the one who betrayed me, who's been lying to me for half a year, and you're trying to make it my fault. He grabbed his jacket off the back of the chair. Believe what you want. I'm done pretending. Pretending what? That you loved me? That you wanted to marry me? He walked toward the door, then paused with his hand on the knob. If you want to play the victim, go ahead. But you brought this on yourself. The door slammed shut, rattling the pictures on the wall. I collapsed onto the couch, tears streaming down my face. How had my life turned into this? How had I been so blind? Maya arrived 30 minutes later with wine and a box of tissues. She held me while I cried, not saying anything, just being there. When I finally calmed down enough to talk, she looked at me with fierce determination. He's a coward, she said firmly. He's projecting his guilt onto you. He's been cheating and got caught, so now he's trying to make you the bad guy so he doesn't have to face what he's done. I know. I wiped my eyes. But it doesn't make it hurt less. Of course it doesn't. He's the person you thought you were going to marry. You're allowed to hurt. My phone buzzed. A text from Alex. I heard what happened. If you need anything, I'm here. Maya read it over my shoulder. At least someone's being a decent human being. Asterisk, the next few days were a blur of phone calls and cancellations. I called our families, returned deposits, explained to confused relatives that there would be no wedding. Each conversation felt like ripping off a bandage. Daniel moved out without a word, taking his things while I was at work. I came home to half-empty closets and gaps where his books used to be. He didn't even have the courage to face me. Coward. Alex checked in on me every day. At first, I resisted. The last thing I needed was people thinking Daniel was right about me having feelings for my ex, but Alex was patient. He never pushed, never expected anything. Just quiet support. One afternoon, my doorbell rang. Alex stood there holding grocery bags. You need to eat, he said simply. I wanted to argue, to say I was fine, but I wasn't fine. I'd barely eaten in days. So I let him in. We cooked together in silence. He made pasta while I chopped vegetables, and for the first time since everything fell apart, I felt a sliver of peace. Thank you, I said quietly as we ate. For being here. He smiled sadly. I know what it's like to lose someone you thought you'd spend your life with. I just don't want you to go through it alone. I really looked at him, and realized how much he'd changed. The boy who broke my heart years ago was now a man who understood pain and compassion, but I wasn't ready to lean on him romantically. I needed to heal first. To figure out who I was without Daniel. My phone rang, interrupting the moment. Unknown number, hello? Is this Daniel's ex-fiancé? The voice was female, shaky, nervous. Yes, who is this? There was a long pause. It's Vanessa. I need to talk to you. Asterisk, I stared at my phone after Vanessa hung up, my heart pounding. Maya insisted on coming with me to meet her. You're not doing this alone. What if it's some kind of trap? I don't think Daniel's that organized, I said, but I was grateful for her presence anyway. We met at a coffee shop downtown. When Vanessa walked in, I was surprised. She looked fragile, her eyes red from crying. Her hands clutching her purse like it was the only thing keeping her upright. She sat down across from me, barely making eye contact. I didn't know he was engaged, she started, her voice barely above a whisper. Not until a few days ago. I felt a chill run through me. What do you mean? Daniel told me he was single. He said he'd just gotten out of a long relationship and was ready to move on. I believed him. Her voice cracked. We'd been together for 6 months, and I thought he loved me. My anger softened slightly. She was a victim too. Then what happened? Maya asked, leaning forward. After the wedding was called off, he told me the truth, that he'd been engaged to you the whole time. He said it was over now and we could finally be together openly. Vanessa's hands were trembling. But then what? I prompted. She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. Then I found out he's been seeing someone else. A woman named Claire. He's been lying to both of us. The coffee shop seemed to fade away. I heard Maya's sharp intake of breath beside me. He's been seeing 3 women at the same time? Maya said, her voice dangerous. Vanessa nodded miserably. I found messages on his phone, photos, the same kind of things he sent me. I confronted him and he denied it at first, but then he just left, like I didn't matter at all. Asterisk, I sat in stunned silence, trying to process what I was hearing. Daniel wasn't just a cheater. He was a serial manipulator. I'm so sorry, Vanessa said, wiping her eyes. I didn't know about you. If I had, I never would have. It's not your fault, I said, surprising myself. He lied to both of us. Maya leaned forward, her eyes sharp. Do you have proof about this Claire person? Vanessa nodded, pulling out her phone. She showed us screenshots of messages between Daniel and Claire, photos of them together at restaurants and hotels. The timeline overlapped with both our relationships. He'd been juggling 3 women simultaneously. What are we going to do? Vanessa asked, her voice small and lost. Maya grinned, and it wasn't a friendly expression. We're going to expose him. Over the next week, Vanessa and I worked together. It was surreal, bonding with the woman my fiancé had cheated on me with, but we had a common enemy. We compiled evidence, organized timelines, built an undeniable case. Maya tracked down Claire through her social media. She was a graphic designer in her early 30s who'd met Daniel at a work conference. Maya messaged her and Claire agreed to meet us. When the 3 of us sat down together for the first time, it was like looking in a mirror. 3 women who'd believed Daniel's lies, who trusted him, who thought they were special. He made me feel like I was the only person who understood him, Claire said softly, stirring her coffee. Like we had this deep connection that he'd never found with anyone else. He said the same thing to me, Vanessa admitted. I nodded. Me too, word for word probably. Claire looked at the evidence we compiled, her face growing paler with each page. I had no idea. He told me he was single, that he'd been hurt before and was afraid to trust again. I thought I was helping him heal. We all did, I said. Maya set her phone on the table. So what do we want to do about it? The 3 of us looked at each other. And slowly, we smiled. We confront him, I said. Together. Asterisk, we found Daniel at his favorite bar on Thursday night, sitting with his colleagues, laughing like he didn't have a care in the world. Like he hadn't destroyed 3 women's lives. When he saw the 3 of us walking toward him, his face went pale. What are you doing here? He stammered, standing up. We're here to tell you we know everything, I said calmly. My voice didn't shake. I'd practiced this. His colleagues looked confused, glancing between us and Daniel. One of them, a woman named Sarah, frowned. Daniel, what's going on? Daniel tried to laugh it off. I don't know what they're talking about. These women are. You told me you loved me. Vanessa stepped forward, her voice stronger than I'd ever heard it. That we'd build a life together. Claire added, you told me the same thing. That I was special. That you never felt this way before. I finished, and you were engaged to me while lying to both of them. The bar had gone quiet. Everyone was watching. Dino's face turned red. This is ridiculous. You're all crazy. Maya held up her phone, the screen glowing. We have proof. Every message, every photo, every lie. Want me to start reading them out loud? His colleagues started whispering. Sarah stood up, her expression shocked. Daniel, is this true? Have you been dating 3 women at once? He couldn't answer. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Tell them, I said quietly. Tell them how you proposed to me while sleeping with Vanessa. How you took Claire to a work conference while I was at home planning our wedding. Tell them the truth. He looked at me with something like hatred. You brought this on yourself. No, I said firmly. You did this. You made these choices. You lied to all of us. And now everyone knows exactly who you are. We didn't stay to watch him squirm. We'd said what we needed to say. As we walked out of the bar into the cool night air, I felt lighter than I had in weeks stopped behind us. I could hear Daniel trying to explain, trying to salvage his reputation. But it was too late. The truth was out. Asterisk, in the weeks that followed, something unexpected happened. Vanessa, Claire, and I became friends. We met for coffee regularly, sharing our experiences, laughing at how we'd all fallen for the same lines. It was healing in a way I didn't expect, finding solidarity with the women I thought of as enemies. He told me I was the first person who really understood him, Claire said one afternoon, shaking her head. I can't believe I fell for that. He told me I was different from every other woman he'd dated, Vanessa added. That I made him want to be better. He told me I was his soulmate, I said. That he'd been waiting his whole life for me. We looked at each other and burst out laughing. It was absurd, painful, but also freeing. Alex remained a constant presence, but he never pushed for more than friendship. "You need time," he said one evening as we walked through the park. "I'm not going anywhere." I appreciated his patience more than I could say. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Daniel's reputation crumbled spectacularly. Word of his behavior spread through his workplace and social circles. He lost his job when HR investigated complaints from multiple women. His friends distanced themselves. His family called me to apologize. I didn't feel satisfaction, just relief that it was over. One day, my phone rang. Daniel's name on the screen. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "What do you want?" I asked coldly. "I'm sorry." His voice was quiet, defeated. "I know I hurt you." I was selfish and stupid. "Yes, you were," I replied calmly. "But your apology doesn't change anything." "I know. I needed you to know I regret everything." I hung up without another word. His apology meant nothing. He was only sorry because he'd faced consequences, not because he genuinely changed. Asterisk. 6 months later, I was in a completely different place. I'd started therapy, working through not just the betrayal, but the patterns that had led me there. I focused on my career, earning a promotion I'd been too distracted to pursue before. I rebuilt my confidence piece by piece. I learned that my worth wasn't defined by Daniel's betrayal or anyone else's opinion of me. Alex and I remained close friends. Sometimes I wondered if we'd ever be more, but I wasn't in a rush. I was learning to be happy on my own first. One evening, we sat on a bench watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. "I'm proud of you," Alex said suddenly, "for everything you've been through and how you've come out stronger." I smiled, feeling warmth spread through my chest. "Thank you for being there when I needed you." He hesitated, then added quietly, "Whenever you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll still be here." I looked at him, really looked at him, and realized something. Maybe someday, but not today. Today, I was enough. And that was the most powerful feeling of all. I'd survived betrayal, reclaimed my dignity, and discovered my own strength. I'd found friendship in unexpected places and learned that healing doesn't follow a timeline, whatever came next. I knew I could handle it because I'd already overcome the worst and I'd done it on my own terms.